Hello, this is Charles from Hellcat Entertainment, chilling here with Trinity, the 1997 Honda Prelude Type SH. Right now I am going to be showing you guys to get the JDM power folding mirrors into the USDM housings. Pretty much when you buy the JDM mirrors, because it is a right-hand drive car and not a left-hand drive car, what happens is the angle of the mirror on the passenger side usually does not get to tilt in enough to see the car or any good angle. It's almost damn near useless at that point in time because it's geared for if someone was sitting in that side of the seat there. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be transferring it into the USDM housing, which is going to correct that and also put the proper glass on the right side. I already have this side done here. You can see it says objects and mirror closer than they appear. On the Japanese JDM version, it does not have that. But they do fold. So turn the key on. And it is a cute little feature to have. You know, it's nothing obviously that's a necessity, but it's one of those wonderful, it's just one of those things to say, hey, yo, I got some power folded mirrors. Had to get the switch installed so that way it has a legitimate button. And then this here is in the JDM housing, so I'll be swapping it to the USDM housing. So first order of business, we for sure need to get the mirror assembly off of the door. There's 3 screws under this little plastic piece that need to be removed. And to do so, this clip comes out. It's a little pop clip. Boom. Just kind of pops right off. But one thing that you're going to notice is that 2 of the mounting screws are tucked behind the door panel. So the door panel does not need to be removed fully, but what I like to do is just remove the screw here and remove the door handle assembly with the tweeter assembly, and then remove that screw there, and then it'll allow you to kind of tilt the door panel so that way this part moves down and you could get in there without completely removing the door panel. You do need to remove this pop clip as well, and for those that do have factory speaker setups, there are screws here that will need to be removed as well, so that way you could remove the door panel. Luckily for me, I do not have my speakers mounted on the door card anymore, so I could actually remove my door cards without having to remove the speaker, which is really nice and convenient. So I already popped the little cover plate off here. I'm gonna go ahead and dig in there once I get my screwdriver in the right position, and we will remove the upper screw here. Set that aside, and when you get it to this point, you slide it to the right. See it move over just a little bit. That'll allow you to bring this out, and you'll look in here and you'll see the little clip. You pop the clip back to get it off the door handle rail. It's a lot easier when you're not holding the camera at the same time, but you could just use a screwdriver, pop it back. It's going to allow you to get under the rod, pull the rod up. The rod is released. After it's released, you could then slide the whole assembly to the left and then pop it out. So you're going to need to disconnect the tweeter. If it's a factory tweeter, it's going to be a normal harness, and then disconnect the switch for the locking mechanism. Once again, a little bit harder to do when you're holding a phone in your hand. Let me see if I can pry this off with my screwdriver. Push the button. And try. There we go. That clip pops out. And then for my tweeter, I have 2 little connectors here that they just pull out and unplug. 2 spade connectors. So with that done, then you can look in here. I usually use a flathead to pry open the little lid, if you even have one. Get in there again, the Phillips head screwdriver. Once you're in there with the Phillips, you can take that screw out. Boom. So that screw is out. Now starting from here, I usually give a little pop, start going around the sides, little pop, pop, There's gonna be some clips down here that should pop out, some clips all around the side that should pop out, and boom. And now you'll see that we could tilt the door panel to allow access to those screws. So right now I'm going to take the 3 screws out. You do need to unplug the mirror from in here. Since this is the JDM Powerfold, it is a 5-plug adapter. If it was a stock factory USDM lens, it would only be like a 4-pin. So I'm going to unplug that, undo those 3, and this is going to come out directly straight back. Alright, as you can see, mirror assembly is out. Got it on top of the car right now. This is the JDM folding mirror. As you can see, the person that owned it before kind of did a crappy, I guess, semi-gloss black, almost matte black finish. And before they shipped them to me, they just painted it, because here's a bunch of rippling from the bubble wrap that got stuck to the things. So the other cool thing about putting these in your factory housings is they will color match to the car if you do have color matched mirrors. So what we're gonna have to do now is gonna need to pop out the glass on both assemblies. And now this is something that you really need to be cautious doing. But to do so in the wider area, you want to pop that towards the back so it allows you to get underneath here. You'll see that there's going to be one clip that it's clipped to here to do the horizontal motion. There's a clip down at the bottom that it pops into to do the up and down, the vertical motion, and then there's a center pivoting clip which is bigger than all. So you really want to get underneath of it, and you don't want to pry at the edges. You want to try to pry as close to the clips as possible, so that way you don't shatter the glass of the mirror. Let me go ahead and get that off, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here I have the glass off the JDM one, and you can see, like I said, this is responsible for the horizontal movement, this is responsible for the vertical movement, and that's a pivot point. So you really want to kind of get your fingers underneath it, between the glass and the mirror housing, kind of squeeze and pop from here, and it literally just all popped off at once. Make sure that before you do reinstall these, that you do grease them up nicely, so that way it could pop on as best as possible without breaking the glass. Okay, so the next phase of this project, we are going to need to cut off the harness end. I usually like to leave enough slack on it, because you are going to be splicing it back together or crimping it back together once you put it back together in the other housing. But this harness adapter here does not fit through the hole there, and there's another few pieces inside the housing that this wire needs to feed through that is not going to fit through it. So some people, if you do have a de-pinning tool, then you could just get in there, de-pin it, definitely take a picture of what it looks like prior, de-pin the pins, slide it through, repin it. That would definitely be the more professional, proper way to do it. Unfortunately, right now I do not have a de-pinning tool, so I'm literally just going to cut it here in the middle, pull it on through, and then once I get it put into the other housing, I am just going to splice them back together. So cut this off, and then I'll show you the next steps. Alright, after you have the harness cut off, you'll then just kind of pull this little rubber insulator off. Now you could probably start at the bottom here where it kind of lays over the housing. Everything's a lot easier, like I said, to do without holding a phone to record, but I still should be able to get this off here. There's a little pin that it pushes into right under there, and you literally just continue to massage it off little by little. See it coming off. Alright, so we have that off. Now the only screw that we're going to need to remove on this end is this screw right here that's going to hold the wiring harness in place. So that screw is going to come out, and then we're going to take those 3 screws out as well, and then that's going to separate the 2 pieces. Alright, so we have this piece separated from the main base. which is good. Now we're going to take these little screws off here. That's going to allow us to get the mirror housing separated. With the mirror housing separated, you got to be cautious. So far I have not been able to remove this without breaking the tab that's down there. I don't know if you can see it. For whatever reason, I get every tab off, even the two side tabs here off. But no matter which way I try to manage this bottom tab, for whatever reason, it just breaks every single time. It's not a huge deal. Once you put it all back together, it doesn't separate there at all. All the other clips hold it into place. But do the best you can. If you have a better way of getting down in there to get, there you go, that tab off. I've used like a little pick. I've tried using a flathead. I've tried to just kind of wiggle and maneuver the two halves and hope for the best, but so far I've taken apart 3 housings and every single one of those break. But I'm going to go ahead and do so. So I'm going to remove these screws and separate the 2 housing pieces. Here we have the 2 housing pieces apart. Interestingly enough, the tab that I talk about that breaks was already broken in this housing. So again, this is the JDM housing that I bought from overseas, so whoever owned this prior to me, somehow that tab was already broken and made it real easy for it to come off. But do be cautious. There's a tab over on this side, as you can see, and there's a tab over on this side. So what I like to do is remove the screws. I kind of give the housing a little push on this side to break that loose, and then the way you pivot the top off really allows it to come out of that one pretty easy. But you can see the two tabs there, and it goes here and here. But yeah, anyhow, next step is real straightforward. Take the screw off there, take the screw off there, and take the screw off back there, and that's going to allow the motor assembly to come out. This is a lot bulkier than the US versions, because the main motor to pivot the mirrors is right in here, as opposed to the motor, to retract and fold the assembly is here, and it rotates this metal piece, whereas just the pivoting of the mirror motor is back here. You'll see the difference once I start taking apart the US mirror assembly. And there we have it, the JDM power folding mirror motor. So what I'm going to do now is, just for shits and giggles, I'm going to try to clean this plate off as best as possible. I'm going to spray some silicone lubricant on the top of the plate. I don't know if you could catch that on the camera or not. Let me see if I get a good angle. Okay, maybe this side. So right here you can see the marks of where it pivots. So I'm definitely going to spray some grease, a little bit of silicone grease in there, so that way it could lubricate it. Also, you'll notice a little tab here and a little tab there. You kind of pry open those tabs easy. This whole case top will slide open a little bit. It's only going to give you a little bit of play, but you remove the wire from this area here and move it aside. I'm going to clean this up as best as possible. I'm going to also, like I said, pull up on this tab here and then pull up on the tab on this other side, and that's going to allow me to see the actual metal gears of the motor itself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of gear lubrication in there too. You got to admit, this is from overseas, from Japan. This is anywhere from a 1997 to, let's say, a 2001. I'm not sure the exact year of this, but either way, that's a 20-plus-year-old part that probably has never seen any extra grease since it's been installed on a vehicle. So to prolong the life of it, I'm just going to make sure that the gear inside is nice and clean, and then I'm going to be throwing just a little bit of lubrication on there, so hopefully it could extend the life of the gears and just keep a smooth operation over the years. Right here you can see the gears that I was talking about lubricating. So just pop the cap up. It doesn't come off all the way because of course the harness is still in place, but I'm just throwing a little bit of grease on both sides of those gears. Alright, so with the JDM housing disassembled, it's time to repeat the same process for the US housing. So once again, you need to cut the harness, pull off the rubber, take the screw off that attaches the harness to the inside there. Remove the 3 screws below there. Pull off the glass. Take the screws out that are going to get the housing apart. And then take the screws off that are going to get the swivel and motor assembly out. Alright, so we got the US one apart as well, so now you could definitely see the difference. JDM with the power motor, US without the motor, just a little spring mechanism to flex it. So what we're going to do is we're going to install this in the reverse order, and all of this does mount up easily into the US housing, like they're identical mounting points. So to put this all back together, we're just going to go reverse order. We're going to mount this back into the mirror assembly. We will then get the frame. The frame's going to go second. After you get the frame, then we'll be able to mount the base. And then after mounting the base, we can put the glass on. And then after the glass goes on, we could wire the pigtail back on once it's all wired through the base. And then after the pigtail is wired on, then we can mount it back into the car. Alright, so I have everything put back together in my US housing. Got the pigtails sticking out, and I got the other end here. So like I said before, if you have the depinning tool and the capability of depinning this plug here, then you could have easily depinned it. You would have had the pins right here, and then you just slide it back in and repin the connector. However, like I said, I do not have that tool. The other way that we could do this now is you could just cut off a little bit of the protective to expose the wire on both ends and solder it together and heat shrink it. Well, again, that'd be a little more professional, but all I got right now, and I'm going to use what I got, is I'm going to cut these both ends, twist them together, and I got my beautiful pink electrical tape here. The good news is once these wires are in place, they don't move or vibrate or anything like that, so this connection is going to more than suffice. But if you want to be a little more professional about it, you can either, like I said, depin the connector and repin it, or you could use solder and heat shrink for a more professional approach. But let me get to it. I'll show you the finished product when it's done. Alright, so I got each individual wire connected. Always make sure that you don't get them mixed up. You want to wire them properly. I wrap them individually first, and then I'm going to do one final wrap around all of them just to kind of keep them nice and bundled and insulated. The only method that I didn't mention is the butt connector mention, where you put a little butt connector on them and you crimp it. The only reason why I don't recommend that method is because butt connectors can get really bulky, especially if you have this many of them, and they do not have the flexibility that you might need to go through the hole into the door panel and connect to the connector there. It is a very short pigtail, and you do not want it to have it stiff there. So the only method I don't recommend is doing the butt connector method, but depinning is the best method, soldering is the second best method, and then this here would probably be the third best method. Alright, so you can see I got it fully insulated here with my lovely pink freaking electrical tape. It's nice and insulated. It's got a lot of bend to it, a lot of flex, so that's going to be exactly what we need to go through the hole there and to get down to the plug connector. So I'm going to get the glass in next. I'm going to lubricate here, lubricate there, lubricate the pivot point, and then lubricate the contacts on the inside of the glass. You want to press first on the inside piece, and then you want to slowly push on the bottom and then slowly push on the side. You don't want to press too hard because, like I said, this part is the scary, sketchy part because you can potentially break the glass. So let me get this glass piece on here. Alright, so the glass panel is installed. Like I said, the center pivot point is right here, so I was able to push here firmly until it popped in, and I was able to push in the down position around this area until it popped in, and then push this final area here until it was popped in. You should be able to hear clicking in both vertical and horizontal. There shouldn't be any play in it. If you're hearing that that Ziploc type sound, then you did it right and everything is attached properly. If there's any play, it could just teeter-totter vertically or horizontally. It is not clipped in properly, and you want to make sure that you get that done. Alright, so we have everything put back together on both sides. looking good, and you can bask in the glory of power folded mirrors. Working ones that you could actually see out of your passenger side. So like I said before, if you keep the JDM housings, you will not really be able to use that passenger side mirror. It will not get close enough to your car. You're going to be looking off into the distance. Alright everybody, that concludes the video. So if you like this video, please smash that like button down below, subscribe to the channel. I will be working on getting some more Prelude content and some other car content added to this channel. I will be featuring my vehicle pretty soon, showing you the ins and outs of Trinity, what's been done to her, and also be making some more how-to videos in the future. If you'd like your car featured and you're in the San Diego or Southern California area, please hit me up in the comments, or you could hit me up in my DM on my Instagram, and I'd love to feature some more cars. Check them out, get you noticed. So hope you guys like what you saw. This is first of many, so please note the whole low budget, low key things going on here, but they are how to. They do show you how to do what you need to do. It does get the freaking job done, and it works wonders. So shout out to 1904 Ludes, the Prelude group of Southern California, San Diego Ludes, for keeping me in the game here and help pushing me to want to mod this car more than I ever thought I would be modding this car. Shout out to SoCal Preludes and California Prelude Club for keeping the Prelude scene alive as well. Much love to you guys. Peace.